25 drivers, 16 nationalities, 3 champions, 1 world champion. Road to Indy TV.
On behalf of everyone at Cooper Tires and Allied Building Products, drivers, start your engines.
Today, already starting to stream into Circuit of the Americas. The drivers will then climb 133 feet up into turn number 1. A tight turn, although they have a lot of room to their right to run off. There is gravel out there, but they can battle. The problem is if you get into the inside, you run out of room very quickly, which we saw yesterday with Zachary Clayman DeMello and his teammate Lucas Cole. They will then drop back down about another 100 feet or so into turn number 2. That's a quick right-hander, then back uphill another 80 feet to turn number 3. That's a left-hander, which goes underneath the Firestone Bridge, and then they will come into the view of our very own Dave First. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Michael. From your vantage point, you could argue it's all downhill from there, but really this natural terrain road course has only just begun to show itself. From that right-hander in turn 2, they go under the cross bridge, setting up for the S's, modeled after a similar section of the British Grand Prix and the Silverstone circuit there. Left-right combination, turns 3, 4, 5, and 6. Red, white, and blue paint to the right, representing the fact this is the Circuit of the Americas. And a huge observation tower to the left. 419 steps up, or you can also take the elevator up. The field passing my direction now through the S's. Once they do, they'll head back downhill through turn 7 and pop up into the view of our own Ryan Marine. Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning, Dave. And you're right, down the hill and then right back up a hill once again. The climb through 7, 8, and 9. That's where the field is behind the pace car at the moment. Then into some of the best passing opportunities on this racetrack. The run from turn 9, then the left-hand kink in turn 10, a downhill braking zone into turn 11. A heavy braking zone. We saw some passing there yesterday, but you have to be careful not to compromise your run out of that hairpin because it leads onto the massive long backstretch. That run down to turn number 12, it's so long that these drivers actually have 2 opportunities to use the push to pass if they wish. We saw that a couple of times yesterday. That led to some wild racing in turn number 12. And as they reach turn 12, they'll be back in your view, Nick, and you'll take them the rest of the way from the booth.
Appreciate that, Michael, Dave, and Ryan. Looking forward to a good one here. We've got a pair of pit reporters. First, we'll check in with Rob Howden. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, Nick. A much cooler morning here as well. It is overcast here at the Circuit of the Americas, about 66 degrees ambient temperature, so much cooler than we saw early. Again, what we're looking for here today is can Oliver Askew come back out and do it again? He was dominant yesterday, and in that race win, actually joining a very elite group of drivers who have won at all 3 levels of the Road to Indy, guys like Sage Cara, Matthew Brabham, Spencer Piggott, Aaron Telitz, Nico Jamin, Victor Franzoni, and Renus VK, all part of that elite group. Oliver Askew looking to go to get race win number 2.
And Tony Laporta, the question is, if not Oliver Askew, then who? What you think for this race number 2 here at COTA?
Man, I think we saw some great driving out of his teammate at Andretti Autosport, Robert McGinnis. We spoke to JF Thorman, president of Andretti Autosport, during that intense battle yesterday. Robert McGinnis showed some really good talent behind that wheel, putting up great fights all race long. Oliver definitely is the man to beat going into round number 4 here today, guys. But I'll tell you what, Robert McGinnis, Renus VK, they're not going to make it easy on him. Keep an eye on the Andretti Autosport car of Robert McGinnis.
It is round 4 of 17 for this Indy Lights Championship presented by Cooper Tires. The Andretti teammates of Oliver Askew, Robert McGinnis on the front row, making their way through the last couple corners. The pace car has already pulled ahead and ducked on to pit lane as we are set to go racing in Austin, Texas. We saw a tremendous race yesterday. Could we be in store for another good one today? Oliver Askew, your pole sitter, in the white and blue Mazda for Andretti Autosport. The alignment looks pretty good, nice and slow off of the final corner. And now they'll accelerate. We see him start to fan out already, but Michael Young, it's Oliver Askew with the lead.
Already 4 wide further back in the field as they start to make their way into turn number 1. It's the machine of Dalton Kellett who makes the biggest move. Everybody swings way wide, but keeps things under control. No contact. Oliver Askew to the front as they make their way to turn 3.
Now snaking their way downhill through the S's. It is single file, nose to tail. Oliver Askew, another great start, making a 3-car length lead. Or check that, it is, yeah, Robert McGinnis got around in turn 1. Robert McGinnis heading your way, Ryan Marine. He leads here this morning.
He's got the lead by 2 car lengths, cresting the hill in turn 9. It's Toby Sowery who got a really great start. He's up to the 3rd spot, giving chase. Further back, it's 2 wide. Dalton Kellett shoves one of the Velarde cars wide. Now they're going to go 2 wide into turn number 11. Kellett locks him up in a big way. He brings it back under control. Man, this is wild here in the back half of this racetrack, but up front, it's Robert McGinnis, Oliver Askew, and Toby Sowery.
It's like we threw 10 Indy Lights cars into a blender and put it on 10 because these drivers mixing it up on this opening lap as Dalton Kellett and Rinus VeeKay were really mixing it up. We still see it going side by side as Zachary Clayman looks to the inside of Dalton Kellett. He's got the corner and he'll make the pass. So move Clayman up to the 6th position. Now Kellett's got his hands full as another one of those Velarde cars, I believe that's Falchero, is all over the rear wing. RC, a pretty crazy first lap, very similar to what we saw yesterday. That is Falchero making the pass.
Yeah, I mean, Rinus definitely didn't get off the line as good. He started 3rd, fell really far back on that first lap, but he's fighting his way back up, and these guys are putting on one hell of a show.
And Steve, how about the move by Robert McGinnis to grab the lead early on his teammate?
Yeah, he faked me out this morning. I went to talk to Rob, and he said he would probably just slot in behind his teammate and try and run away with the 2 of them, then do battle later. But he made one heck of a good pass there. And he forced Oliver into a rare mistake for Askew. Forced him to go out a little bit wide. He can't get back on the track quite as quickly, and he's now pulling away to a little bit of a lead.
Boy, a big lockup for Rinus VeeKay up the hill, but it is Robert McGinnis, your leader, Dave First. He leads his teammate Oliver Askew into the S's.
A little teammate on teammate crime to begin this race here this morning at beautiful Circuit of the Americas. Winding their way, McGinnis' car steps out just a tad coming through the S's, but it is McGinnis, Askew, Sowery, the top 3 here, Ryan Marine.
McGinnis has extended that lead since the last time they came through here. It's now grown to 5 car lengths. Sowery about the same distance back. Ryan Norman creeping into that fight for the podium spots. He's in 4th. It's single file through the rest of the field as the leaders make their way through the 11th turn. Back onto the power. McGinnis leading Askew, Sowery, and Norman.
RC, we just had a chance to see a replay of the start. They nearly went 5 wide. We've only got 10 cars. About half of them decided to go side by side into turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's super wide going into turn 1. You could fit at least 10 wide if you really wanted to, but it all files down to that single lane, and that's the big issue. Who's going to back out, who's going to take it, and sort it out later.
It was ultimately Robert McGinnis who came away with the lead as he and Oliver Askew went side by side, and then further on back, it was just some tremendous racing. Sowery and Ryan Norman looked like they got away pretty clean in 3rd and 4th. In fact, those front 4 built about a 4-second lead on the rest of the field, and then after Zachary Clayman cleared the slower car of Dalton Kellett, he has jumped back on that horse. He and his teammate Julian Falchero will now try to run down the front 5 as Rinus VeeKay runs in the 5th position. But McGinnis' lead as he makes his way through turns 19 and 20 looks like it's about 4 or 5 car lengths. Not sure if Oliver Askew is close enough to make a charge, but Michael Young, we expect that 28 car to challenge for the lead here momentarily.
Yeah, you would think Oliver Askew at some point will regain that ground he lost to Robert McGinnis, his teammate, on the opening lap. McGinnis just a slight bobble into turn number 1. Then it's the machine of Oliver Askew. Toby Sowery now starting to feel a little pressure from Ryan Norman. That will be the battle on 3rd, but Oliver Askew down about 5 car lengths to his teammate, Robert McGinnis.
Everything spaced pretty equally through the S's. Once again, it's McGinnis leading the way, followed by Askew, then Sowery. And yeah, I would agree, Michael. It looks like Ryan Norman might be in a lap or 2, might be able to put a little pressure on Toby Sowery.
No changes in that top 4. It does like Askew is starting to reel in McGinnis just a little bit. The last time through turn number 12, Zachary Clayman made an outside pass of Rinus VeeKay, who finished 2nd yesterday. Clayman has now moved into that 5th spot, and he has set sail, trying to reel in the top 4. Right now running in 5th as the field starts to spread out just a little bit through turn 11.
Yeah, but that was a good eye by Ryan Marine as Oliver Askew is starting to inch towards his teammate. Got to be on the push to pass down to turn 12. Takes a look to the inside. He'll think better of it, though. It was a really late entrance there, Steve, though, trying to get around Robert McGinnis. And again, 2 teammates going to take care of each other, but clearly Oliver's got a fast car.
Yeah, and it's probably interesting for Oliver. He didn't get to really use push to pass here in the first race, so he's got got something new to learn, and he's got to learn, you know, where it's effective. McGinnis has a lot of now practice yesterday using that push pass, so he's going to know how to defend against it.
Yeah, this is certainly new for Oliver Askew as he dominated yesterday, and because you cannot use the push to pass to defend as the leader, he's going to get the opportunity to be aggressive really for the first time today. Leaders make their way out of turn 20. Michael Young will storm back up the hill. The advantage for McGinnis, only about 3 car lengths.
And Oliver Askew kind of lost ground after he made that attempt. I thought he'd be right tucked underneath the rear wing of his teammate Robert McGinnis, but not so. They climbed the hill into turn number 1, a 2-car length advantage for Robert McGinnis over Oliver Askew. Then a 2-car length advantage further back for that 3rd place battle. That's Toby Sowery and Ryan Norman. So for the Andretti guys are 1, 2, and 4 as they make their way through 3.
Oliver Askew had that 24-second win yesterday. Not used to mixing it up quite yet here at Circuit of the Americas. McGinnis, and then that's followed by Askew, Sowery, and take a look at that number 13. Zachary Clayman has got around. He's now moving up a spot. He's in 5th, Ryan Brain.
Yeah, Clayman's on the move right now, and he sees Ryan Norman as his next victim. McGinnis has a healthy lead entering turn number 11. It is Askew on his tail. Definitely a different view for Oliver Askew here today, trying to chase down his Andretti teammate. Toby Sowery has fallen off of that lead group. He's about 10 car lengths back. Ryan Norman chasing him down the backstretch.
Askew with another good run down the back straightaway. Not going to be good enough, though, to get to Robert McGinnis. So McGinnis is going to hold off once again as they head into turn number 12. Well, of course, the goal for all of these drivers to become an Indy Lights champion and run with the NTT IndyCar Series. Rob Houser standing by with the gentleman who did that just a couple years ago.
Yeah, very interesting spectator down here on pit lane. 2017 Indy Lights champion Kyle Kaiser. Kyle, we were talking before we went on here. Yesterday's race at Indy Lights was absolutely epic. You enjoyed watching that one.
Oh, that was such a fun race to watch. I mean, there was racing happening all over the track, and we've seen it already for the start of this race. There is slicing and dicing everywhere, so I'm very excited to see how this turns out.
You're still with your team, Lucas Racing, that you won the championship with. You're back here for this weekend. How are things going? How is the team progressing through this weekend?
Yeah, it's proved very challenging to start the weekend, but we're chipping away at it, and we're getting quicker every session, so definitely closing the gap, and I think our race pace will be closer to on par than our one-lap red, so excited for the race.
That really is the deal, isn't it? You're trying to find that one-lap red lap to be quick in qualifying, but then you got to kind of step back a little bit and think about how the car is going to run over that distance of 60 laps.
Yeah, of course you want to get your outright pace right out of the gate, but we've been doing some long runs, and we found everybody's fallen off quite a bit. I think it's really going to be just hanging on for the race and hoping to make up spots.
Kind of watch this here, these young drivers in this Indy Lights program. You spent 3 years in Indy Lights and took your time, won the championship. What do you think about these young rookies out here right now? Rinus VeeKay, Oliver Askew, Robert McGinnis right now leading. You've been there before. What do you think is going on in their head?
Yeah, they've proved to be very impressive this year, so it's very exciting to watch them race. And you see a couple of mistakes from some of the guys like Lucas yesterday trying to dive bomb in, but that's what this series is all about. Going out there and making some of those mistakes and then learning. That's all you can do.
Thanks for the time.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Kyle Kaiser, folks, 2017 Indy Lights champion. He knows what it's all about. He did 3 years in the program. He made his mistakes early on as well, just like the guys like David Malukas and Robert McGinnis have made throughout the start of the season. But he stayed for 3 years, got his skills honed, ended up winning the championship and moved on to the NTT IndyCar Series.
Yep, no doubt about it. Thank you for that, Rob Howard. Really excited to see how Kyle Kaiser does a little bit later this afternoon in his first start of the season for Hukos Racing in the NTT IndyCar Series. Michael Young, a lap ago we saw Robert McGinnis actually set the fastest lap of the race. Zachary Clayman then reset it, but boy, he was awful fast into turn 1, maybe even a little too fast.
He was pushing so hard, Nick, I was startled. I was watching the battles further back in the field. I could see all the way down that front straightaway. Literally, I jumped because he hit the brakes so hard that I could hear those Cooper tires screech into turn number 1. David Malukas pushing extremely hard. Oliver Askew is trying to get close enough to use that push to pass. So now the field starts to work their way through the stadium portion. That gap from David Malukas back to his teammate Oliver Askew, about 6 car lengths. Not quite close enough to use that push to pass. So they make their way, the climb up into turn number 1. David Malukas, his teammate, right behind him. Again, that gap about 5. Then it's Toby Sowery, Ryan Norman, Zachary Clayman starting to close in on the rear wing of Ryan Norman. Is equal distance back to Rinus VeeKay. And then the machine of Julian Falchero. They make their way to you, Dave.
Keep an eye on that bright red Velarde 13 of Zachary Clayman. He appears to be on the move. Started 7th and all of a sudden finds himself in 5th place, trying to put a little pressure on Ryan Norman. Got around Rinus VeeKay, Julian Falchero, and David Malukas here in the top 8.
It is McGinnis leading Askew. They're all kind of by themselves. Sowery has dropped off considerably. Then Norman and Clayman. I think your observation is a good one, Dave. Clayman is definitely the man on the move. He got a great start in what has been a frustrating weekend for him. Really thought he had the pace to recover after problems in qualifying for race 1. Didn't have that opportunity with contact on the opening lap and a drive-through penalty, and it looks like he's got a mission here he's trying to accomplish.
Battle for the lead as Oliver Askew has the run down to turn 12. McGinnis swings wide to give him a little room. The run looked good enough to take the lead. Now can McGinnis charge back to the outside? They'll go wheel to wheel through turn number 13. Oliver Askew has taken over the lead, and as they snake their way around the stadium portion of the racetrack, RC, that is how it's done. New leader here at Indy Lights.
Yeah, he's burned a lot of push to pass to try and get there, and now McGinnis is sitting there with 20 of them, ready to pounce again.
And the problem, though, Steve, is we saw yesterday, once Oliver Askew's got that clean air, he can set sail.
Yeah, he really can, but he's going to be, like RC said, he's only got 11 of his 20 from the past left. McGinnis has all 20. I suspect McGinnis will utilize a few to make sure he stays right there with him.
Here they come, Michael Young out of turn number 20. New leader here on lap number 6. It's our winner from yesterday, Oliver Askew.
And unlike yesterday, Robert McGinnis had plenty of opportunities to pass. He and Toby Sowery swapped that second place position a dozen times or more. Now closes up on that rear wing of our leader, Oliver Askew. Robert McGinnis trying to make the charge and get that lead back. The gap is 2 car lengths into 3.
McGinnis used to slugging it out here at Circuit of the Americas, doing so in race number 2, just like he did in race number 1. Call it 3-car length advantage. Askew over McGinnis, further back, well back now. Toby Sowery, Ryan Norman, Zachary Clayman, the top 5.
McGinnis finished a fighting 3rd yesterday. Askew basically ran that race without seeing another race car after the drop of the green flag. He's got his hands full, though, now. McGinnis' teammates stalking as they enter the braking zone for turn 11. Sowery, an interested spectator, in that 3rd position. We'll see what kind of run McGinnis can get out of that turn 11 hairpin. He's in the slipstream, Nick, and headed your way.
Had to use that push to pass on the front stretch to run back up on Oliver Askew. Of course, you have to stay within 1.5 seconds in Indy Lights to be able to use that extra horsepower. Doesn't look like McGinnis will lean on the button there in turn number 12, but will keep it close enough to the left-hander. And then now they make their way through the stadium portion of the racetrack. RC, I mean, the hope for McGinnis is he's just got to continue to hang on to that rear wing of Askew.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see the replay of the pass, and he was obviously depending, but he left just enough room that Oliver could squeak down the inside. I think he could have been a little bit more aggressive on that. But he's got a ton of push to pass now. He's got to keep himself within range and bring the fight back to him.
Tell you what, one of the cars that might be on the move is 5th place running Zachary Clayman. The front 4 got away pretty clean to start this race, and once Clayman picked his way through some of the cars towards the rear of the field, he is starting to run down Ryan Norman. He's about 5 or 6 car lengths as they exit the final corner. Michael, let's peek into that battle for 4th as Ryan Norman has it, Zachary Clayman trying to run him down.
And Zachary is getting about 3 car lengths away from the rear wing of Ryan Norman. Oliver Askew starting to check out a little bit on Robert McGinnis, and that's a good portion of the track he's about to get into. So a good battle. That's the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Now Rinus VeeKay starting to join the fray there. They worked their way through turn number 3. The gap back from 2nd to 3rd is 3 car lengths.
VeeKay had got past just a couple of laps earlier by Zachary Clayman. And Clayman, of course, had that spectacular weekend in St. Pete. Is really trying to play catch-up here this weekend. He'd love to play catch-up a little bit more to Ryan Norman, who still holds him off in this battle for 4th.
Clayman picked up his 2nd career Indy Lights win back at St. Pete. Right now trying to battle to get into a podium position. Not going to be able to do anything with Ryan Norman this time through turn number 11, but trying to set him up here on corner exit. Puts the power down, uses all the curving on the right side of the racetrack, doesn't go over the candy striping and under the green, however. He's got a bit of a run, Nick. Can he track down Ryan Norman?
Yeah, making his way down that long back straightaway, and does not look like Clayman will get there quite yet. The Canadian running in the 5th position. for Bilardi Auto Racing. Does close it within a couple car lengths of Ryan Norman, but not quite able to make the pass into turn 12. This is the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires on the Advanced Auto Parts IndyCar Radio Network. Those are the voices you hear out on the racetrack. From Dave Hurst, Michael Young, Ryan Prix. My name's Nick Yeoman. Happy to have Steve Winnick and R.C. Ederson here in the booth. And R.C., a moment ago, you pointed out the lap time from our leader, Oliver Askew. Clearly, he knows, hey, I got the lead. It's time to check out.
Yeah, they figured something out. His car is really good, and he's knowing just how to extract the time from it.
And Steve, certainly for Robert McGinnis, whether he's able to run down Oliver Askew or not, a second-place finish would be a big result as he continues to keep pace in this championship.
It really would. He knows he's on a few-year Indy Lights program, and be able to work is so hard to get. And again, Rob just set the fastest lap of the race as we're talking there.
Yeah, he's not going away.
He's not going to go away, I don't think. And I think Tony's actually got J.F. Thorman from Andretti, so we'll go down to him.
JF, you're watching your drivers battle. I talked to you yesterday when Robert McGinnis was putting on a show. Well, they stepped it up today, and it's him and his teammate Oliver Askew fighting for the lead. These guys don't want to give you any kind of break, do they?
No, they don't. It's not good for my heart, but Robert really learned a lot yesterday, as you can tell, and he's been racing Oliver very cleanly, and we're really proud of that. And I think the two of them are really showing their mettle today.
I think a lot of people would agree with you that Robert learned a ton in battling yesterday for that second, third position. He just posted a very fast lap. I know you don't have a headset on yourself, but are the drivers saying anything? Are you guys here on the timing stand telling them anything at all as they battle?
We just want them to be clean and fair, and I think that's what they're doing. And you're right, Robert's has saved some push passes, so it'll get interesting at the end.
Yeah, exactly. You talked about them not giving your heart a break. I think it's going to get intense here to be this race. Jeff, thanks for the time, and enjoy this as two drivers continue to battle and, most importantly, grow.
Thank you very much.
J.F. Thorman, president of Andretti Autosport, down here. Intense moments as he watches Robert McGinnis and Oliver Askew battle.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Tony and Steve. I mean, the Andretti Lights program that Andretti's put together is pretty impressive. We saw this last year. It was the 27 and the 98 car at the time. Pato Award and Colton Herta battling for a championship. No surprise to see Andretti cars run at 1-2.
No, it's really not. They've kind of stepped it up in Indy Lights over the last few years. They struggled with the new chassis early, but the last 2-3 years they've got something figured out that the other teams haven't. And I know when you talk to the other teams, they don't really know what it is, and that it's driving them nuts to not know why the Andretti cars are that much faster. But and the other teams are going to continue to work hard at it. But man, they definitely have some work to do to catch up to those guys.
Boy, Robert McGinnis continues to hustle that car around the racetrack. Just reset the fastest lap of the race at 1:56.700. RC, he's still within 1 second, but we've kind of been watching that push to pass data. He is really starting to burn through those there in second.
Yeah, he's burning through them. He's got to keep himself within range, at least until he can pounce on it, but he can't run out, because the second he runs out, Oliver, if he gets back by him, he's got 11 more still.
Well, let's go back to pit lane. Tony Laporta, you're standing by with another one of our car owners. We heard from his IndyCar driver a little bit today. It's Ricardo Juncos, who's keeping an eye, of course, on Rinus VeeKay and Dalton Kellett in this event.
Yeah, it's a big weekend for the guys at Juncos Racing. As Rob talked to Kyle Kaiser making his IndyCar debut. So, Ricky, obviously you're looking forward to the race a little bit later today, but we've got one on the track right now. Rinus VeeKay, Mazda Scholarship winner from winning it last year. What's he saying right now? Obviously a very hectic start. He came away with a podium result yesterday. The race not going as well as it did yesterday for Rinus.
Yeah, I think the start was a problem. I mean, we started P3 and really at the start today, but they're still halfway through now. Still a long race to go, and seems everything fine. It's just difficult like yesterday. I think it was more passive. Today, for whatever reason, everybody has a hard time to pass.
Circuit of the Americas lending itself to some very competitive racing, as we saw yesterday. And here in the first half of the day, Rinus saying anything on the radio?
No, at the moment, no, everything is quiet. We just still halfway to go, so we see what happens.
Quiet on the radio is good. Ricky, thanks for the time.
All right, thank you.
Ricky Juncos.
Yeah, quiet on the radio, but not quite on the racetrack, RC, as we saw Zachary Clayman take the 4th spot from Ryan Norman, and then Norman and RC and Rinus VeeKay putting on one heck of a battle for 5th.
Yeah, I mean, they're fighting each other hard. I think Clayman got by him and kind of checked everybody up, so now everybody's really going to start battling here. But it's interesting to see Levenga again with the whole track limits thing. It's tough to say.
BK got awful sideways again. Michael, just the battle for 5th up the hill into turn number 1.
All the cars pushing all the way down that front straightaway, and now we have a move to the inside. Clayman is checked out, but David Malukas will get around the machine of Julian Falcaro. That was for the 6th position, so a nice battle there, but really tight there, 5th on back.
All of this, of course, is Oliver Askew and Robert McGinnis have checked out just a bit, as has the bright yellow machine of Toby Sauer. But yeah, things are getting interesting with the 13 of Zachary Clayman, and really throw a blanket over this other battle right behind Clayman. Good stuff here at Coda.
And Clayman should be catching Toby Sauer here before too much longer. He's been on a move ever since he got around Norman on the last lap on the run into turn number 12. Clayman has checked out. It's single file behind there, but the battle does seem to be heating up as Ryan Norman exits in that spot. He's got a handful of drivers, including Rinus VeeKay, who would like to take it from him, and VeeKay's got to run down the backstretch.
Yeah, the rear end of that 48 machine for Ryan Norman stepped out just a little bit at the exit of turn 11, and that's going to open the door. Here comes Rinus VeeKay. Norman moved to the inside to defend. VeeKay's going to look to the outside. Will not be able to get side by side or wheel to wheel. Norman, though, his car really unstable at the exit of the corners, and VeeKay's car looks like might be running a little more downforce. He's got it absolutely planted to the inside of the racetrack, and he's going to pull off a pass. What a pass by Rinus VeeKay, as he'll now shoot a little bit wide and give the spot and maybe another right back as Ryan Norman retakes the 5th position. David Malukas moves into 6th, and now the 21 machine of VeeKay is going to have to gather back up just to hold off Julian Falcaro. So lots of battling throughout the course of this field, Steve Winnick, as we see drivers sliding all over this racetrack here in Austin.
Yeah, that you don't see Rinus make a lot of mistakes, and I know RC, you work with the same driver coach. What's JJ telling him on the radio right now?
I don't think I can repeat those things over the radio.
Michael Young, they're going side by side for 5th up the hill.
Yeah, Ryan Norman moved to the inside, now the outside. David Malukas gets around Ryan Norman. Nice pass by Malukas after a disappointing outing yesterday. Malukas now able to gap Ryan Norman by 2 car lengths.
Under the cross bridge, single file, nose to tail. Malukas is interesting. I mean, he sat back and watched much of this play out. Now he is a big-time player here at Circuit of the Americas. Ryan Norman, check that, Ryan Marine. Here comes David Malukas.
Yeah, here he comes, cresting the hill. I'm not sure this scrap for 5th is over yet. Ryan Norman in the slipstream headed into turn number 11. Rinus VeeKay, he was up in that 5th spot not so long ago. He wants those 2 positions back. He really closes in under braking on Ryan Norman. We'll see what kind of run he can get out of the final, or turn number 11, I should say. Here comes VeeKay. That's going to be the fight for the 6th position, closing in on Ryan Norman.
Just fascinating battles from mid-pack on back. Up front, Oliver Askew's lead is now 1.6 seconds, and 1.6 is big, RC, because try as he might, Robert McGinnis is not catching our race leader.
Yeah, not right now. I think he made a mistake, fell back, and now he's out of range for push to pass. As of right now, we'll see what happens when they come back across the timeline. But right now, he just needs to gain that 10.5 back and be back in range to bring the fight to him.
Top 3, it's Askew, McGinnis, and Toby Sauer. Rob Howden, we haven't talked much about the Brit as he runs in the 3rd position.
Yeah, Nick, easily 2 of the best road course races for Indy Lights we've seen in recent memory. These guys are having at it, obviously behind the front-running 4. But the little chat here about Toby Sauer, he had such a good run yesterday. Of course, he was going at it with Robert McGinnis. We do have to remember that Toby didn't get a chance to be here at the test at Coda when the remainder of the Indy Lights field was here. He only got in the car the Monday before St. Petersburg, so he's really been kind of getting up to speed with this race car. But yesterday he did have a bit of a trouble. I did want to bring the update in. He did fall through the order after having that great scrap first with Robert McGinnis and then with Rinus VeeKay. Actually had the left rear camber shims pop out on that car. Obviously allows the wheels to kind of flip-flop back and forth. Totally lost the balance on the race car. Toby wanted to make sure that I brought that up because it was not anything to do with how he was driving, just a fluke mechanical on the car, and you can see he's right back out of this car 100% for BN Racing, and Toby Sauer looking to get yet another podium. It will be his 3rd podium of the 2019 season.
little bit further down pit lane, let's check in with Tony Laporta.
David Malukas, guys, we just saw the replay on the big screen. He made an awesome pass on Ryan Norman that vaults him from 10th up to P5. Bryn Natal on the timing stand right there, calling the shots for David Malukas, the young driver out of Chicago, Illinois. Now, probably not a point they want to get brought up, but David Malukas having to start at the back of the grid here in round number 4 of the 2019 season after his time being disallowed in qualifying, but that has not affected the young man at all. In fact, it's only allowed him to show off his skill behind the wheel. He's made some great moves, David, working his way up to the 5th position after coming from 10th after his time was disallowed in qualifying. Keep an eye on Malukas as he continues to fight with Ryan Norman here.
Yeah, and after he took that 5th position, he's left Norman a little bit, and Norman has his hands full. RC, look at this battle between Norman and VK.
Yeah, and same exact thing happened here. We'll see what happens right here going into the fast one, and he has it. So, I mean, he set him up perfectly, kind of get him going on switchbacks to be able to set up for the pass into the stadium section.
What does it tell you about Ryan Norman's car, or maybe the setup, that it appears to get so sideways there under power?
Yeah, he's definitely struggling on power. He can't get out of the corners, which is allowing all these guys to get really good runs. You can see it even there, too. It looks like he's going to have another car up on him.
Yeah, here they go to turn number 1. Michael Young, Julian Falchero trying to bear down on Ryan Norman.
Yeah, Ryan Norman not giving up the ghost yet. He's still about 2 car lengths off of Rinus VK, then 2 car lengths back to the machine of Julian Falchero. That is the battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th. But also further up front, noticing that the 13 of Clayman also starting to get a little bit closer to the Toby Sowery machine. So a couple of great battles throughout the field.
It's a game of tag here at COTA towards the back end of this field. Some great racing. I know a lot of us came into this wondering what it would be like. Turns out it's great stuff here, Ryan Marine.
Right now, Rinus VK has extended that advantage over Ryan Norman just a bit, about 7 car lengths, but Julian Falchero, who's been really on a learning trend throughout the weekend after some mechanical problems earlier going back to Friday, really seems to have found the speed in his Bilardi car. He's on the back wing of that Ryan Norman machine, and he might have a good enough run to make a move into turn number 12.
Yeah, Falchero out of the corner, as close within 2 or 3 car lengths of Ryan Norman as they make their way down to turn number 12. This again, the battle for the 7th position. Falchero got to be on that push to pass. Doesn't look like he'll be close enough to make the pass, so Norman will hold on to 7th into turn 12. Here's a full field rundown as we've got 7 of the 20 laps left in this event. It is Oliver Askew, your race leader. That lead continues to build as he has put that 1.5 seconds now up to 2.7 on second place running Robert McGinnis. McGinnis pretty safe right now in the 2nd position as he's got a full 4 seconds over Toby Sowery. Then you've got Zachary Clayman just 1.2 seconds back. So the battle for 3rd shaping up to be a good one. David Malukas runs in the 5th position behind Sowery and Clayman. Rinus VK runs in the 6th spot. Ryan Norman is 7th. Julian Falchero is 8th. Dalton Kellett is 9th. And Lucas Cole is 10th. Steve Wittick from Trackside Online joins us. Steve, kind of a light weekend for you, usually covering the entire road to Indy. Just Indy Lights this weekend for you. Tell us, folks, about what you've been covering throughout the course of the year for the Road to Indy series.
Yeah, normally we have all 3 series, but this was a bit of a nice light one for TSO Ladder. But I'm getting IndyCar coverage this weekend for us too. But it's going to be, I think, what we've seen so far this year is that, like Oliver's definitely looking like he could be running away, but then you've got McGinnis, who's obviously stepped it up a notch, and then you've got someone like Clayman, who's so experienced, and those Bilardi guys and those engineers will start to get things figured out. And they're also a little bit better on certain kind of tracks. This is definitely an Andretti style track. I think, when you get back to Toronto, Mid-Ohio, you go to a little more tracks that a little more suit what Bilardi's setup is.
And R.C. Ederson joins us as well, a gentleman who has a handful of NTT IndyCar starts, also spent some time in Indy Lights, got yourself to victory lane. How much fun are these cars to drive, especially at these really unique racetracks like I mean, I know you never had a chance to race here, but I mean, you had a chance to test an Indy car. I imagine these Lights cars are going to be equal part handful and a blast.
Yeah, I mean, I was obviously looking at the times when we were here for the test, and I was very surprised to see how close they actually were to the Indy cars. And
boy, we see, yeah, it looks like Zachary Clayman may have an issue with that Bilardi Auto Racing car. He just moved to driver's right and got passed by Rinus VK. Ryan Norman came by, so did Julian Falchero, and that car is dead in the water. by the stadium portion of the racetrack. Clayman's got his hands in the air. He wants to get that machine refired, but that is in a pretty precarious position as he has stopped on the racetrack just to the exit of the corner. And I would have to think, RC, I mean, where he's sitting, that's going to have to bring out a full course caution, right? And yeah, we just got word that it will bring out a full course caution. We're seeing a replay. Didn't really see any smoke come out of the back of that car, but clearly something mechanical or electronic, an issue there for Clayman. And watching the telemetry on the steering, I mean, it's hard to tell when you're not in there, but boy, Steve, this is going to be a tough break for the gentleman who won the race to start the season in St. Petersburg. Obviously had issues yesterday as well. He's a guy very confident, thought he'd be a contender for the championship. It's going to be a tough weekend points-wise for the Canadian.
Yeah, it really is. The Bilardi guys have struggled a little bit this weekend with some mechanical issues. I know Falciaro had a few non-team related mechanical issues. Obviously, Clayman couldn't qualify in the first session. They had an issue. So it's going to be interesting to see. They need to get that side of things, sorted out if they want to compete up front for the championship.
So the full course yellow comes with just 5 laps remaining here in the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires. RC, the guy that didn't want to see that was certainly Oliver Askew. Is now we're going to bunch these cars back up for what will probably be a 3 or 4 lap shootout.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. You look at the push to pass too, and everybody's been burning through them pretty quick. But the guy that is sitting in 3rd place right now, Sowery, has 14 still.
Yeah, he's got 14.
Got the advantage.
Malukas has shown some speed. He's got 11 push to pass, and Robert McGinnis, he still has 8. We know he can be aggressive as well. Back to pit lane. Let's get an update from Rob Howd.
Yeah, Nick, a quick chat with Tim Neff, the engineer for Zachary Clayman, just being told something with the engine. Not quite sure what it is at this point, but indeed it did happen with the power plant. And of course, the AMR safety crew now pulling Zach out of the way so we can go back to green quickly here with just a couple laps to go. But again, tough one for Zachary Clayman, the guy who came out of the box so strongly at St. Petersburg.
Yeah, the good news about where he stopped on the racetrack at the exit of a corner, that car only needed to be pushed about maybe 100 yards at the most to find an opening in the wall where they could at least get that car off the racetrack, run the final 4 laps under green, and decide this thing. So a great job and a great decision by folks in race control. Now we see Oliver Askew start to accelerate through turns 19. Now they come through turn 20. Michael Young, we're going to go back to racing. Just 4 laps to go here in Austin, Texas. Oliver Askew leads them back up the hill.
Everybody single file. The first car to step out further back is Rinus VeeKay. Locked him up last time when we went under caution going up the hill. Toby Sowery doing a little blocking further up as a nice move by Rinus VeeKay trying to get around David Malukas. Unable to do so, but Sowery has lost about 2 spots on that restart. A great move by David Malukas.
Teammates going at it here, Coda, on this restart. Remember the restart we had at St. Pete in race number 2? That cost Oliver Askew, not this time. Single file through the S's. Askew leads Robert McGinnis back up the hill in turn 7. Here they come, Ryan Moraine.
It's about to get interesting in the battle for 3rd. Toby Sowery stalking his teammate David Malukas, who got the better of him on that restart. It was Sowery that had the great start to this race, jumped 2 positions into 3rd, and he's got all those pushes to pass left in his back pocket. Heavy braking. Sowery locks up the left front just a little in turn 11, puts the power down, and we'll see what kind of run he can get. Up front, it is Askew, then McGinnis, then Malukas, then Toby Sowery and Rinus VeeKay, the top 5.
Boy, like he was shot out of a cannon out of turn number 20. What a jump for Oliver Askew, and it's going to be the advantage down into turn number 12 that he needs to hold on to the lead over Robert McGinnis. Then it's David Malukas in that red, silver, and black car for the brand new team of BN Racing, looking for a podium in the 3rd position, maybe even more, as he's a little bit closer, it looks like, to McGinnis than McGinnis necessarily is to threatening Askew. And now we've got Toby Sowery, who swings super wide. RC, you saw him battling throughout the field as Sowery lost 2 or 3 spots.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they were heading into turn 1 on that restart, you saw a little puff of smoke. I think Rinus and Toby might have had a little bit of contact there, so we'll see what's going on here. But it looks like the car might be fine.
Yeah, Sowery got it back underway. He slotted in right ahead of Dalton Kellett, so that'll be in the 7th position. Leaders, though, back on the front stretch with 3 to go.
Oliver Askew has about an 8-car length advantage, but it's David Malukas who is on the charge. He's about 3 car lengths behind 2nd place running Robert McGinnis. They climb up the hill. The cars now crest the top of the hill and hit the apex. David Malukas was dead last yesterday, started in the back of the field today, and now 5 car lengths from trying to take over second place.
What a drive for the young man from Chicago. Single file now, downhill through the S's. Robert McGinnis's car steps out a little bit. That should give the advantage to Malukas as he now closes within 2.5 car lengths. It is 1, 2, 3, Askew, McGinnis, Malukas.
And remember, this is just the 4th Indy Lights race for Malukas' team, BN Racing. He's tracking down 2 cars from the powerhouse stable of this series, Andretti Autosport. Big lock up there from McGinnis. Can Malukas capitalize? Looks like he's got a good run out of turn 11. Puts the power down the backstretch as Askew checks out. McGinnis and Malukas battling for second.
Yeah, McGinnis definitely didn't get really clean out of turn number 11, but it doesn't look like Malukas is going to be close enough to at least put the nose of that BN Racing car alongside Robert McGinnis, but he does close within a couple car lengths. Further back, they're going 2 or 3 wide down into turn number 12. Dalton Kellett up the inside. Ryan Norman swings wide as Toby Sowery is under attack. Sowery now swings to the outside as they battle for the 6th position. Dalton Kellett looking aggressive here in the final stages of this race as Toby Sowery, RC, we know he's got a fast race car, but he's just getting swallowed up left and right and can't find a way to get around these guys that he's clearly faster.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he had an issue coming through the stadium section last lap, and it kind of threw him back, but he's got a fast race car. He should be able to get by Kellett and at least trying to recover something for these closing laps.
Just 2 laps to go as the leaders make their way out of turn number 20. Oliver Askew's advantage was 1.2 seconds, trying to hold off Robert McGinnis and David Malukas to sweep the weekend.
David Malukas lost a little bit of ground, and Robert McGinnis gained a little on his teammate, Oliver Askew. Oliver Askew. Then it is the McGinnis machine, David Malukas running P3. 4th is the machine of Rinus VeeKay, and Julian Falchero with a nice comeback running 5th.
Falchero's moved his way into this mix. Askew with about a 5 car length lead. Let's call it 2 car lengths now. Malukas into the back of McGinnis. Further back, it is VeeKay. Falchero, good action here at Circuit of the Americas, Ryan Moraine.
Askew's lead is comfortable, not so for McGinnis over Malukas. It's about 4 car lengths as they head into turn 11. Toby Sowery, meanwhile, trying to chase down Dalton Kellett further back in the field, but up for the battle in 2nd position. McGinnis holding off Malukas. Malukas pretty close this time. He's only got a lap and a half to go. Can he get one more spot and get to that 2nd position?
Yeah, boy, Steve, this might be the lap for David Malukas. That 17-year-old from Chicago, Illinois, continues to close, but just not close enough to get alongside of Robert McGinnis.
Yeah, I think part of the problem here is that McGinnis is still close enough to ask you to use his push to pass, so it's kind of like when we get in Indy cars, he's using it more defensively than offensively at this point, but it makes it really tough for McGinnis to get by him.
Yeah, McGinnis, I should say Malukas, is clearly faster. That's going to be a tongue twister. We're going to be fighting through all season with McGinnis and Malukas as Ryan Norman and Dalton Kellett battling wheel to wheel a little bit further back. Might have even a little bit of contact there at exit. That's a great battle for the 6th position. But again, it's Oliver Askew, your leader. Best battle might be for 2nd as we're trying to decide who's going to take that 2nd step on the podium. Out of turn 20, though, it's Oliver Askew. He'll see the white flag final time around this 20-turn racetrack.
Boy, this Oliver Askew looking like he did just 2 years ago in the USF 2000. Picture perfect for the final time, trying to get win number 2. Robert McGinnis now locks him up in that 2nd position. That allows David Malukas to close up on that rear wing. They worked their way through turn number 2. Askew with the big lead, but it's McGinnis and Malukas battling for 2nd.
Ryan Norman spun further back as they exited the final turn here at Circuit of the Americas. Right now, though, it's Askew, McGinnis, still about a 2 car length advantage. McGinnis over Malukas. Head your way for the final time, Ryan Moraine.
The question, I think, is McGinnis close enough to use his push to pass defensively? David Malukas has been close, just hasn't been able to pull alongside. It's again about 7 or 8 car lengths into the braking zone. They close up under braking here in turn number 11. Oliver Askew out in front, comfortably ahead. Now McGinnis just outside of that 1.5 range. He might be a sitting duck. Malukas is on a run. Nick, he's coming to you.
Yep, it was 1.59 seconds last time across the line. The gap from first to second, so Malukas can attack. He moves to the inside, now pops back to the outside to turn number 12. McGinnis really has to shove it into turn number 12. Malukas took the more gentle approach into the corner. It allowed him to get a good exit. He'll tuck right back behind the rear ring of that 27 car as they snake their way through the stadium portion of the racetrack. Oliver Askew's lead looks pretty safe and healthy, but the battle for second is on. Now Malukas pops to the outside of McGinnis. McGinnis has still got the advantage as they make their way around the giant tower here at Circuit of the Americas. Up front, it is Oliver Askew, Robert McGinnis, David Malukas. Throw a blanket over them, separated by just 2 or 3 seconds, heading to the final couple of corners. Further back, we see Lucas Cole has spun, but out of turn number 20, Oliver Askew will sweep the weekend, winning race number 2 here in the Indy Lights Series, presented by Cooper Tires. Robert McGinnis holds off David Malukas for second. Malukas will have to settle for third. Renus VK comes home in fourth. Falchero finishes fifth. And it looks like Toby Sowery will take the 6th position. What a weekend for Andretti Autosport. What a flurry of action. Steve, I thought David Malukas did a fantastic job pressuring Robert McGinnis, but give McGinnis credit, he didn't crack.
No, he didn't. That was a fantastic battle. And sometimes it's a lot of fun when they don't have that push to pass, because it kind of shows you where someone's stronger, someone's not. And it was a really good battle by those two.
And in the final couple of laps, RC, we saw a couple cars get sideways. One was Ryan Norman, and now we're getting a replay of what happened between Lucas Cole and Dalton Kellett.
Yeah, I mean, I think it, I'm not exactly really sure what happened right there.
It looked like Dalton, he had some help.
Forgot a little bit on brake zones there. Just got into the back of him right before the apex.
Yeah, so Lucas Cole got turned there in the final lap by Dalton Kellett. So Kellett moves up to the 7th position for now. I imagine race control probably going to take a look at that. We'll see how that all shakes out. But boy, Steve, for Oliver Askew, miserable second race in St. Petersburg where he ended up against the wall, threw away a bunch of points. This was a perfect dream weekend. Pole in both races, fastest in practice, and is going to take home 2 race wins. This might be the championship favorite here as we take a look at the point standings. He does jump into the points lead, now 6 markers over Renus VK, and Zachary Clayman gets kicked back to 3rd as he obviously finishes 10th with the mechanical issues.
Yeah, it's a max points weekend, 66 points for Askew. That doesn't happen a whole lot, and it's an awfully good way to jumpstart the rest of the season. And going into, I know it's a track he really likes, IMS road course, and it's an interesting story. He sort of, when he signed with Andretti, he'd worked with 2 different engineers, and he didn't work with who he's working with now, Doug Zister, until the test at Homestead. And RC, you've worked with Mr. Zister.
Yeah, he was my steering lights as well.
Pretty good engineer. Won a championship with Joseph Newgarden, and he works really well with a driver like Oliver, who's smooth and doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And Doug won't take any big chances, but he'll give you a solid car every time out.
Yep, that's a definite fact. He puts together a good car, a good package at every race. Even if it's not the fastest car, it's going to be really close.
So the 22-year-old from Jupiter, Florida, Oliver Askew, right fist in the air, pumping, saluting the fans that have made their way out to Circuit of the Americas this morning as we go NTT IndyCar Series racing a little bit later today for the IndyCar Classic at Circuit of the Americas. Askew dominated the USF 2000 Championship in 2017, scoring 7 poles, 7 race wins, 11 podiums en route to the championship for Cape Motorsports. Stayed with Cape Motorsports in 2018, moving up to the Indy Pro 2000 Series. Struggled throughout the first half of the season, Steve, finishing on the podium just once in the first 10 races. He did close strong, and that's why we thought, all right, just give this young man an opportunity in Indy Lights, and he's going to make a believer out of a lot of people. And I think this weekend is proof of that.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, he did. He had a rough start to the Indy Pro 2000 season last year, but he really showed a lot in the second half. He made some fantastic moves during races, came from the back, into the podium position, ended up the season strong with 1 win at Portland, and he wasn't sure what he was going to be doing this year until about a month and a half before the season started. They started talking about their IndyCar or Indy Lights program, and they actually were able to put that together, and now look what they're doing.
We'll hear from our race winner momentarily. Let's hear from a couple drivers that ended up on the podium. First, David Malukas standing by with Tony Laporta.
Yeah, it was a very entertaining race for the BN Racing driver out of Chicago, Illinois. He's popping the helmet off, gets congratulations from Dan Anderson. David Malukas driving from 10th after issues in qualifying forced him to the back of the grid. David, you end the race in 3rd position after starting P10. Tell me about the kind of race car you had to drive all the way up to a podium result.
Yeah, obviously the car was fast. It was quick. Obviously in the beginning it was a bit slow because I was the only person not with push-to-pass. So I knew that they were going to run out at some point. So I just saved the tires to make sure that when I actually got in the battles, I actually had some traction to get out of the corners. But obviously it was kind of redemption from yesterday. Obviously I ended short yesterday. I had a bit of an incident. So today I was ready and prepared to bring him back into podium.
The Indy Lights rookie with a 3rd place finish after starting the race in 10th. David, congrats on the result.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep, a great result for David Malukas. Let's hear from our race winner, though. Rob Howden, you've got our winner.
Yeah, Oliver Askew taking the opportunity to sit down here, grab some water, a little tired. I'll let him finish up his sip here right now. Oliver, talk a little bit about the physicality of running this racetrack.
It's not as bad as St. Pete. We have a lot more time to relax around here, but what an unbelievable race. It's always fun when you have to pass for it, and Rob McGinnis and I were having a good battle there. Congrats to him for finishing 2nd. Congrats to the team for a 1-2 finish. Super happy about this. I think hopefully it's going to set the tone for the rest of the year, and we got the points lead as well, so big thanks to everybody on Andretti and Index Invest.
You know, you've come through the sport through karting, obviously the USF 2000 Indy Pro. You're always working with an engineer. You're with Doug Zister right now. He's engineered a lot of champions. Talk a little bit about the relationship you've been able to develop with Doug.
I think him and I share similar characteristics, so we both have a very calm approach to everything, and I told him to yell at me on the radio, so get me more amped up, but still very quiet and very methodical at what he does, so yeah.
A little bit of a break, and then we go to the month of May. What are you thinking about getting, of course, to the road course and then the Freedom 100?
Well, first we got to get to the road course, but we're going to do some preparation for the oval as well before we get there in April next month, so looking forward to it. It's the best month of the year, so hopefully we can keep this rolling.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Rob.